Good morning, everyone. Well, we have a little news we haven't shared with you yet. We had quail hatch about a week ago, and so we've got them in our little brooder here right in our kitchen. I have moved them in the spare room out in the shop, but I like having them right here close by. The bedroom's smaller and the air just really kind of blows on them a little more than I like. Right here they don't have any direct air and the climate is controlled, so I can really keep a close eye on them, so I like having them here for a little while until they get a little bigger. Now, quail, when they are born, they do feather really quickly, a lot faster than chickens do. They mature a lot faster than chickens do. So when you start out in the brooder with your quail, make sure they need to be at 95 degrees. Now, with our thing right here, you'll see our top has the screen. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But like at night, when it turns cooler, the house cools off, I do have this old stained piece of linen that I will throw over the top here, and it just kind of helps hold the heat in so it stays nice and warm and snugly in there. But down here at the end, it's open, so they still get lots of airflow, and so that's really good for them. Now, after the first week of having your quail in the brooder at 95 degrees, you can get a thermometer. I highly recommend a thermometer put in there so you can keep an eye on it, and so you'll be able to know exactly what the temperature is. Now, once you do this for a while, you kind of know how to do it and like how to set your incubator and or your heater, and you'll know your heater, and then you can kind of watch them. If they're staying under the heater all the time, then it's probably not warm enough in there. But if they're out and running around and they're not under the heater, then it may be too warm in there. So you can kind of adjust it that way. But to start with, it's really a good idea to start with a thermometer. Now, after that week has passed, every 3 days, lower your temperature by 5 degrees. Now, with chickens, it's every week. So you see, 3 days with quail, they grow really fast and they feather really fast. Now, with this brooder, this has been an absolutely wonderful brooder. We have used it lots and lots of times. We've had it for quite a while. We've raised lots of chicks and quail and all like that. And it really depends on how many birds that we have. If we have a really large amount, then we still start them here when they're teeny tiny, but then we move them, upgrade them to an octagon-shaped puppy pen pretty quick. But it's like closed in on the bottom, closed in on the top, with netting that's zipped on, and so when we get to that point, I'll be sure to show you that as well. If you look back at some of our other videos on raising quail or ducks and these, you'll see it in there, and I can link it to, in the description box below for you. We got it from Amazon. It's like 30 bucks. It's a really good thing to have for a step up with your animals. This is a 50-gallon tote. I think we got ours at Lowe's. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart. They're all over the place. So anyway, but what we did, we took the lid, and what I really like I like having my brooders closed, because even like if we had them out in the shop, we've had mice in our garden shed. There's no reason to think a mice can't get in anywhere they want to get into. They find their way. So I like being able to close the lid off. I know no critters or my cat or anything else is going to get in there and get to them. So this lid right here, you'll see where my husband just cut, oh my Lord, look at the spider webs. My husband just cut out part of the lid. Goodness gracious, spiders are just, I don't know what they're like where you live, but they are just, spider webs are everywhere around here. So he just cut out the bottom here, and then on the top, you cut out a piece of hardware cloth. This is 1/2-inch cloth, and just make it a little bit bigger than the opening, and then he took these 1x2 strips of wood, and he just screwed it into the lid here that held the screen down, makes it nice and secure. So that way when you put it on top, the quail or your chicks, ducks, whatever you got, they're nice and secure. Excuse me guys, I'm just having a time this morning. They're nice and secure, and they have lots of airflow, and you can see them. And then at night when it's cooler and they're really young, I'll throw this over the top like that, just to help keep the heat in, because they really need to be nice and cozy. And that way, and they still have airflow down here. And then now they are about a week old. The past couple nights I've taken that off. They haven't used it. Today I've actually going to raise my heater a little bit. All right, now I have brought y'all in close so you can see. Now these are only a week old. Come here, little one. Do you see that? You see all their feathers? I mean, they feather out really, really quickly. You can see this is one of the latter ones that were hatched because it's much smaller. Now, you can see this is after one day. Every morning I clean this out, and they are a messy, messy lot. Now, another thing, you can't see the rocks because they've kicked so much stuffing up in here. But when you put your water, your little chick water, when you put it in the brooder, when they're newborn, make sure you put rocks along the bottom, because they can fall in there. If you don't put rocks, they can fall in there and they can drown. They can literally drown. So make sure you put rocks in there until they get, I'll keep them in there for another week to make sure. And see this little guy, that little guy I wouldn't have to worry about. But we've got some that are a little bit smaller that were later in the hatching process, and so I will keep the rocks in there. Now, to start with, when I start my brooder, I put down paper towels, because you don't want them on that slippery surface. They'll have the spraddle legs. They need to be able to grip on something, but they're so tiny, I don't put shavings in yet. I just put paper towels, and I keep those in there for 2 or 3 days. I still pull them out and clean them every single day. And I'll just put a paper towel down here, and I'll grind up their food a little bit. They need 30% protein food for wild game. And I use the Purina, 30%. And I'll just put a little paper towel down here, and then I'll grind it up just a little. You don't want it to be a powder, you just want it a little finer, and I'll pour it down there on the paper towel. And I'll keep them that way for 2 to 3 days. Now, once that's done, after those days have passed, I will pull up the paper towels and I start adding my shavings. Now, I don't clean these shavings up every day. Look at this one. See this one over here in the water? So, but what I do is I add fresh shavings to it, and I kind of stir it around, mix it around, and I'll keep adding fresh shavings every day. And it keeps them nice and warm. It keeps nice and fresh, and there's not wetness, mess all over the place. And you see how they love to stay up here. So today I'm going to raise my heater up because they're getting pretty big. So, and this little mess up here, there's just nothing, you know, it just is what it is. All right, so let's get it cleaned up. Now, this is the food that I use. I feed them this until they are 8 weeks old, and then I move them over to a 22% protein feed that we have a feed mill here. They make it. They make it right there at the feed mill. Here, let me move this up for you guys so y'all can get all the way around. All right, now you can see here, now that I have cleaned their waterer, you can see the little stones under there, or in their little waterer. And when they're little like this, now once they move out to the thing, we'll just give them, you know, water right out of the hose. But in here, I make sure the water is body temperature. It's warm water. Make sure it's not hot, but you don't want to give them cold water because it'll chill them. and they are very fragile when they're first born. So you need to be sure. I will give them warm water until they move out into the grow pen, the grow out pen. So, which they will do at 3 weeks. We'll move them into the grow out pen. Now you saw how much room is in here when I moved this heater out, and now I have raised it up so they are up underneath the heater. They have plenty of room to run. They love having this thing to jump up on top of. You can see they spend a lot of time up there. And but every morning I do clean it out and I give them a full thing. It takes a full thing of food and some water here. Now, when you first put them in here, because you'll leave them in the incubator until they are completely dry before you move them into the brooder. And because you don't want them, they have to be completely dry, because they, like I said, if they get chilled, they will die. And so it's really important. But when you first give them their water, when they first come over into the brooder, I do give them a little bit of sugar, about a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in their warm water. And I give it to them, and I put them in here, and I'll bring them over here and make sure they get a little taste of water, because they haven't had anything, but they do have that egg that they eat. Once they're hatched, they have that egg that's in the shell that they eat, that yolk, and it does keep them going for 2 or 3 days. That's why we're able to ship them, and chicks are able to, you know, to live through that. So they are fine. But once they get over here, I like to give them that, just give them a little boost, give them a little energy, just kind of help them along and get them going. Alright guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure and leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so and give us a big old thumbs up. It really does help us. We're a new channel and we're working so hard to grow and to be able to continue to bring you free content. And don't forget to share us with your friends and family and all across social media. So until next time, take care and God bless.